Fine.
Good. Okay. It is 6:03. And we do have a quorum today. Thank you guys. This is gonna be the last meeting, right, for the fiscal year? Okay. If you guys will rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, as the symbol of perfect friendship among the United Nations.
Awesome. All right, well, we got a nice full packed room today. Yeah, it's kind of nice. Okay, item 2, consent agenda, and this is a little special request there, I guess.
I'd like to move that we adopt the agenda with flexibility.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
You second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. All right, so item 2B, consideration to approve minutes from previous meeting. Do we have a motion on the floor for that one? And I broke it down because we are adopting it with flexibility.
I move that we adopt the last meeting minutes.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Awesome, motion passes unanimously as well. Okay, item 3, reports.
So I would like for us to go ahead and do student teacher reports first, so we can recognize students. I do see 2 more students out in the hall though, so.
Encourage them to come in.
If they're sitting in the back of the class, you just don't want to get called on or have to say something. But- Find it.
Yeah, they're coming. So I'd like to recognize, we had 5 students receive the seal of biliteracy and bilingualism. All 5 of these students showed proficiency in speaking, writing, listening, and reading in a second language. So very impressive. Not only did these students meet requirements in English, but also in a second language. So very excited for these students. The first student receiving this honor is Eric Campos Garcia.
Good job. Congratulations.
Well done.
Ashley Hernandez.
Congratulations.
Yeah, well done.
Naomi Hernandez.
Good job.
Nice work.
And then Diego Mendez.
Congratulations.
Congrats, man. It's awesome.
Can we get a picture of you guys? Diego, can we get a picture with the board?
You want us to come around?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to be behind this little. Right, way in front. You'll see me behind right now. But I can still look up there, but there's some moments. Oh, we're gonna mix in with no. Yeah, yeah, just sit right here. Reason, I just stay right here. There we go. Yeah, hold those up. Awesome. So I think your parents want to go. Hold on.
Oh,
Your parents want to go.
okay.
Guys, your parents want.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got this.
Congratulations. Well done. We do have one more student who could make it to 3.
Oh,
Sorry, as possible.
That's okay. And the name,
I promise I don't do that at home.
Natalia, Olivas.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Are we on for, is Kaylee on? While he works on that, elementary, would you like to present your textbook adoption?
We do these, Miss Sosa? Yes.
I mean, no, I mean, those are for you guys to look at or if you want to. They're by grade level, except for third. The third grade teachers already have.
While they're looking through the books, we're happy to be here. I'm a second grade teacher in the elementary building and
I'm Tiffany Regalado and I teach kindergarten at the elementary.
we're just really glad to be able to say that we have had so much fun looking at the different curriculum there is out there for our school. And we were amazed at how many varieties and what you could find. And after looking at 8 specific ones, or was it 9?
I feel like it was 8 or 9 that we ordered, looked through. We had different teachers like teach lessons from each one of those, report back, and we narrowed it down to 4. And then spent a whole day on Zoom with those 4 different representatives, going over the components of these.
And we feel that we worked hard. We had our parents to come by and look and see the material. We had teacher input, we had parent input, we had just about everybody. And we're going to go ahead and present Carnegie, and this is what the board members are looking at right now. And these are, the curriculum has so many options. We think that Carnegie, and it's called Learning Clear Math. It's a strong fit for Dexter Elementary. It provides a balance that we actually need with vigorous instruction and the conceptual understanding, teacher support. We all looked at it and we just felt that concisely it would help us a lot. And it does align with the goals of our school, improving math achievement while supporting the teachers. And we looked at these books from the front to the back to everywhere else, just trying to make sure that we got the high quality instruction that was consistent for grades K through 5.
Okay, so we came up with some of the 5 key reasons for choosing Clear Math and why we did. So we thought it built strong conceptual understanding with procedural fluency. It does not only focus on memorizing steps, it helps students understand why math works while still building fluency and problem solving. It's clear, it's teacher-friendly structure. One of the strengths of Clear Math, it's organized in its usability for teachers. The lessons are clearly structured. The curriculum is only effective if the teachers are confidently using it and using it consistently. Number 3, it supports for our diverse learners. Our students have a wide range of learning needs. So Clear Math includes scaffolds, intervention supports, differentiation and enrichment opportunities to help better serve struggling learners, multilingual learners, and students needing acceleration. The student engagement was another big component. This curriculum includes opportunities for discussion, collaboration, visual models, lots of hands-on learning. And so students are not just solving problems, they're explaining them, they're thinking through them, they're making connections and engaging in the productive struggle. So this is important to us so that the teacher isn't doing all the talking and doing all the work, the students are engaged. The standards, alignment, and assessment readiness. Clear Math aligns with grade level standards and prepares students for rigorous assessments by emphasizing math, reasoning, vocabulary, application, rather than just skill practice. And number 6, supports teacher consistency across grade levels. A strong curriculum helps ensure all students receive high quality instruction, regardless of teacher or the classroom. So Clear Math offers pacing, resources, and instructional routines that support vertical alignment. And we also thought it was an easy enough for subs to follow when teachers were out so that lessons could continue if that were the case.
And then we were hoping with all of this material, everything, it's gonna be the curriculum that's rigorous, first of all, manageable for teachers so that we can work with it on a daily basis, engaging for students and capable of producing long-term growth in math. We believe that Clear Math offers a strong balance of those components and, you know, it's a worthwhile investment. All right, and for our Dexter students and our school and for them for their lifetime.
Have any questions?
I was part of elementary's process, as I had my home over there for a little bit, my office. And I really enjoyed the fact of all the steps they took. They were teaching out of these books to see how friendly they were, but also taking that information and how well did the students receive that, and then going through the process. Something big at elementary school that they continued to say is like, we as teachers need that, not necessarily an online program for help. That's a support piece, but they really wanted it to be teacher-student engagement, and not just paper and pencil, but also with manipulatives. So that was a big reason, is so that way they can prove their mathematical practices better with physical movement. So.
Any questions?
Awesome. Yeah, how long did it take you guys to narrow it down to this after seeing all
It's more of a
the?
process.
Yeah, talk to us about it.
We looked at several, we had several in the building, so we like, kindergarten took like four different ones. Each teacher took some taught lessons from, then reported back. I would say it was for sure a couple of months. Initially, we started looking at them, and then when we realized like, oh yes, we do need to choose one by the end of the year. So we did then have to kind of like rush through, like, hurry up, let's look at the best one. So that's when we narrowed it down to our 4 best ones. Then we really like delved into like looking at like teachers' manuals and all the components that were in there as well, not just like 1 or 2 lessons. And so we got input even like when parents came for awards and different things like that. We set these different samples out of not just Clear Math, but others for parents to look through as well. I would say it's about two months. I mean, and we spent that whole day after school was let out for teachers. We met and from like 8 to about like a full day at 3:30, 4 o'clock day, looking at all of those and going over things, really looking into them with the actual representatives from that. And they met us on Zoom and walked us through a lot of things and answered questions for us. So it took a good 2 solid months.
And this was a clear choice, or was there a close second? Or
Well, actually, I think.
I feel like the majority of us really
Did have
did like that one.
wow, awesome.
There was a lot of things that some teachers liked from this, some teachers liked from that. But I think overall, looking at everything, this one had the most of things that we really liked. So,
We had check off lists and what did this cover this, and
Yeah.
we just looked at it carefully.
I mean, and one of the things that like we really liked in the teachers' manuals, like at the beginning of the lessons, it would show, like for me that I teach kindergarten, it would show what the next steps were. So it would go all the way from first grade, what they're going to be applying this to, then what second grade, third grade, fourth grade. And likewise, like, a third grade teacher could look at it and say, okay, well, what did second grade do? Or what was expected in first and what is going to be expected of them in fifth grade.
And it's scaffolded enough to where, like Tiffany was saying, we can see what the needs are in a certain grade level, and then you can go ahead and move on up to see what the needs are going to be or what we're looking for. And so we need scaffolding. We need to be able to cover the bases on each grade level.
Awesome.
Something else that this curriculum had that others didn't is that it teaches about 4 lessons, and then it has essentially like a review / push lesson. So depending on where a kid is, you separate them into groups, and it does that pretty seamlessly in there. And that way you have a review day and also a check-in day that kind of creates where most of the time math books wait until the entire concept is taught
Right.
to go back and reteach, or to even gauge if we need to push kids on. So that part I think was very appealing as we look through that, as we're checking in more often in a formal way.
Nice.
And these are consumables, they'll get you
Um,
replenished every
Yes,
year.
so those would be like the student books. So we gave you, a teacher's manual and a student book.
I have no question. I just know,
Sure.
one, I trust you two, right? Like, especially teacher of the year. But two, I love the process that you guys have
Yes.
to narrow that down. And then three, just easily flipping through this, the words that it uses even for a course grader, right? Decompose, generate, manipulative, partition. And then the page number itself is written for
Oh,
the
yeah, that was a cute little thing that we liked. Each page number is written out in like different forms,
Yeah,
of-
just so many things that it's challenging their vocabulary
even in
and
kindergarten.
their math at the same time. Love
And
it.
their professional development, typically professional development for any curriculum is very rooted in the curriculum.
Mhm.
A lot of theirs is also just in good teaching strategies. So even
Nice.
whenever I was with these ladies on the last day of school looking through this, and this company taught everything through good teaching strategies that even we could take away. So that was an impressive piece.
Yeah.
It's not just, here's our textbook, here's how to use it. It's here's how to do really good teaching with this textbook to help support you in your math instruction.
And then, I mean, like a lot of the center based, or like when you get into like, putting kids into groupings, like that's done and it's there for you. For some teachers that may not know how to do that, it's there, and it's, like just teacher friendly to get kids going in wherever they're at. So we like that it differentiated
Wow,
the learning for them.
good job.
I really like this. In the clubs.
And it'll be here before school starts.
I'm hoping so.
As far as we know,
Yes.
Awesome.
We are gonna, it is on the list. The day happens tomorrow.
Thanks. Okay.
Ms. Sosa, I'll probably just take it to the elementary school one day when I have nothing better to do for you guys.
no problem. And I can come by and pick up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
What, how do you say her last name, Julie?
Yeah.
RBC is gonna
Oh,
sit on.
yeah. She was bomb.com this weekend.
Yes,
right?
can everyone hear me?
Yes.
I'm getting turned up here.
All right.
You have permissions to share your screen.
Yes, sir. And so I will begin to do that right now.
Unless I get down this in your board folder.
Okay.
All right, we're ready, guys. You can see my screen?
Yes, we got
Yes.
you.
Fantastic. All right, well, if you guys are good, I'm ready to get going if you are.
You have the floor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Well, good evening, President, members of the board, superintendent. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm here tonight because in front of you is a resolution to go forward with the Sound Education Technology Notes with the New Mexico Finance Authority. You know, before we even get along to the resolutions though, I do have a brief finance plan update, for the district. So first on this slide, we do have the district's history of assessed valuation. The district saw a growth in its assessed valuation for our current tax year 2025. The assessed valuation grew by about 10.8%. When we look a little bit closer at what fueled this growth, you know, we did see a slight jump in your residential values, but most of that growth came from your non-residential values and then also your centrally assessed non-residential values too. But kind of looking closer into those non-residential values, the growth really did come from a reassessment in already existing values. It's not new businesses coming to the community, unfortunately. But looking at the centrally assessed values, a big jump in it was due to Cheyenne Dairy LLC. They brought $7.3 million of value to the district's assessed valuation in tax year 2025.
So all in all, your 5-year average growth rate is sitting at 2.8%, and your 10-year average growth rate is currently sitting at 0.5%. To be conservative, we're just anticipating a 0% growth rate next year. And it's just because, even though we grew by 10.8% this year, we saw a 2.4% drop the previous year. So to just be conservative, to be in line with your 10-year average, we're just anticipating a 0% growth rate for the time being. Here we have the district's history of tax rates. So the district levies an operating tax rate of just 50 cents. Additionally, the district has SB 9 in place, and that is a $2 tax rate. Additionally, the district has levied a $1.15 tax rate for education technology note program and an $8.85 GEO bond tax rate. So in total, your total debt service tax rate is $10. That's both your ETN debt service tax rate and your GEO bond tax rate combined. Our current plan of finance is based off of keeping your tax rates at their current levels. So the approval of tonight's sale, won't increase taxes, but rather continue to support that $1.15 education technology note tax rate, so that total combined debt service tax rate can continue to be $10. For current outstanding debt, the district has a total of 9 issuances outstanding for a total of $3,950,000. Additionally, on this slide too, we can see your outstanding principal and interest payments on all of your debt. You'll see that, your debt is structured in a rapidly declining manner. We pay it all off within the next 10 years. That's done by design so that we can continue to issue, both education technology notes and general obligation bonds without needing a tax rate increase. Additionally, too, all of your previous issuances were sold to the New Mexico Finance Authority. We are planning on selling this ETN with the New Mexico Finance Authority also. The reason why we decided to go with the NMFA and why we have in the past is because the district can save on a lot of issuance costs by going through the New Mexico Finance Authority versus public markets. For example, if we tried to sell this ETN on public markets, we would have to go to Moody's for a bond rating, and those start at $15,000. So to avoid the issuance costs and for just cost savings, we plan on continuing to issue through the New Mexico Finance Authority. This slide is just an overall debt management plan. So as I mentioned, the district does have SB 9 in place. The last time the district renewed its SB 9 was back in 2021. That lasts for 6 years, so we don't need to worry about that. Additionally, too, the district last renewed your GEO bond back in November of 2023 for $1.2 million. We've sold $600,000. We have $600,000 of GEO bonds to sell. Our plan is to sell that sometime in 2027. We just want to make sure that we sell it before it expires in November of 2027. After that last GEO bond sell of $600,000, we'll have no authorization left. So we'll be ready to go back out to voters for GEO bond authorization. That amount for the election we're currently projecting is $2.4 million. That's based off of keeping your GEO bond debt service tax rate level at $8.85. But we'll definitely refresh that figure once we get closer to the November 27 election. Additionally, on the slide, we just have an overview of the tax rates. So, is there a question?
No, we're good now.
All right. For tax rate setting, as I mentioned, we levied a $1.15 education technology note tax rate. That $1.15 ETN tax rate is meant to produce a $450,000 ETN every 5 years. The last time we sold an ETN was back in 2021. It's now been 5 years, so we're ready for the next ETN sale. This ETN sale, though, is expected to be $650,000, though, and that's just because we have some excess collections, in our ETN debt service fund. But essentially, that $1.15 ETN tax rate supports a $450,000 ETN sale every 5 years into perpetuity. Additionally, on this slide too, we have the district's legal bonding capacity. So state statute allows school districts to bond up to 6% of their assessed valuation. For Dexter schools, that is $5.3 million. Since we only have $3.9 million outstanding, we could technically legally issue an additional $1.4 million, but due to tax rate capacity, we're only selling that $650,000 ETN now. This is just an overview of your elections. As I mentioned, you know, we're scheduled to go back out to voters for GEO bonds back in November of 2027. That election amount we're projecting is 2.4 million, but again, we'll refresh that. You know, you'll note that there are not education technology notes on this election timing page. And that's because state statute does not require school districts to go out to voters for ETN authorization. The only thing that's required is an approval by the board, which is what we're doing tonight. For ETN timing, here's just an overview of this transaction. So we have already started conversations with the New Mexico Finance Authority. Tonight, with the board's approval, we'll then be able to go to the New Mexico Finance Authority Board at their June 25th meeting and have their board approve the district sale. The interest rates will be set with the New Mexico Finance Authority on June 29th, and then we'll have to have a special meeting on July 5th. Fortunately, state statute requires the final terms of the education technology note be approved between 3 and 4 weeks from the initial approval. So with tonight being the initial approval, we'll have to have that final board meeting on July 6th. After that, closing then will be scheduled for August 14th, which is when funds will be available for the district to spend on its technology needs. There are some constitutional amendment updates in the pack. I won't bore you too much with those. Essentially, back in November of 2024, voters approved expanding the standard veteran exemption from $4,000 up to $10,000. Additionally, the disabled veteran exemption was expanded to apply to all disabled veterans. So in the past, a veteran had to be 100% disabled in order to qualify for 100% of property tax exemption. That has been changed so that a veteran can qualify for property tax exemption at the rate that they're now disabled by. So a veteran that is, 80% disabled could be qualify for 80% property tax exemption, 30% exemption, so on and so forth. And so because these things do impact your assessed valuation, we watch them very, very closely. And so we did monitor last year versus this year, and we saw that your veteran exemption, your standard veteran exemption, jumped from 266,000 up to 544,000. And then your disabled veteran exemption jumped from 268,000 up to $1 million. Which is really impressive considering that we still saw your residential values grow. So your residential values outgrew, the hit from this exemption. For financial concern, to be financially conservative though, we are anticipating that disabled veteran exemption may grow a bit more. And just talking to county assessors and treasurers across the state, just a lot of disabled veterans didn't, file for the exemption in time, or they didn't know that they could file for it. So with that in mind, we're anticipating, this to impact your assessed valuation and it's something included in our financial model. I also have a market update in the back that I'll try to not bore you too much with, but really just to kind of highlight, we are in a volatile interest rate market. Fortunately, going through the New Mexico Finance Authority can shield us from some of that volatility and also allows us to price at the NMFA's AAA rates. In very uncertain times too, we often see that the investors like to flock to safe havens, such as, education technology notes like the district is selling tonight. So with that in mind, we don't foresee any liquidity issues with the district sale. That really does, conclude my presentation. With that, I will stop and see if there's any questions for me regarding tonight's sale or about the district's wider plan of findings.
I don't have any questions. Sounds good. A lot of information.
Great, thank you. And additionally, we're already starting to talk to PPD about the tax rate setting process. Rates will be finalized in August. But at this moment, too, we don't foresee any, changes within your guys' tax rate. Again, our goal is to keep that total debt service tax rate at $10 so that your total residential tax rate continues to be around $12.
Thank you.
All right. My pleasure. I'll stay on the line in case there's any questions about the approval.
Perfect. Thank you.
Would you guys like to go ahead and address the,
Yeah, we can. There's no need for her to stay online.
Okay.
Okay.
so
So where's that at?
it's gonna be in the finance and facilities, so 7E and 7F.
7E 7 E.
Yes.
Okay.
I think maybe what you should know about this is, the reason we have started this process now is with our new build, there are things that are not included technology wise, that the district will have to fund. Case in point, no security, cameras are purchased by PSFA. Only the main entrance and the vestibule key card access is, purchased through PSFA. So as we're looking towards that process coming sooner rather than later, this will give us that option to spend for our new build on things that are needed for a school, yet the state currently just doesn't fund them.
So, question. How do you want to, and I guess it doesn't matter, but on the paper, it's 7 E and F, and on the,
Do it by this, because this is what was posted.
okay, so item 7, finance and facilities, item 7 E. Consideration and approval of a resolution authorizing submission of an application for financial assistance to the New Mexico Finance Authority. Do we have a
I
motion?
move we approve this resolution.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
I second.
Do we have a motion and a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Item 7F, consideration and approval of a resolution determining the necessity for lease purchase of education technology equipment. Do we have a motion on the floor? No
I move we
questions?
approve this resolution.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Kaylee.
Thank you. I'll keep in touch with your staff as we go through the NMFA board approval. And then again, you'll see me again in July for that special board meeting. But should you have any questions until then, please don't hesitate to reach out for any reason.
Nice.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you and have a great rest of your meeting.
You too.
You as well. Oh, she doesn't have a rest of the meeting. Rest of your night.
I recommend that we, move to public forum.
We're gonna have to,
I'm assuming that you signed.
okay.
You're it.
All right, so item 5, public forum, 3-minute timeline per presenter.
Issue. You have two.
Huh?
You have 2, 9 and 10.
Leanne Sandoval here with Dexter, representing Dexter Historical Society, and my lovely assistant is our president, Michael McGee.
Awesome.
And,
You can stand up, let us see.
okay, well, I didn't know where to stand. You got one. Back to. Okay, so, Dexter Historical Society has had no view with Dexter School for a number of years, and allowing us to use, schoolrooms over in the ground buildings to, number one, we have a museum set up over there. And number 2, we have a workroom and kind of workroom / storage room in that building. So we understand that that building is going to be going by the wayside soon. And so we want to start packing up and putting our artifacts and all of our, we have like 10 file cabinets full of information about Dexter and putting those somewhere in a different place. So we're basically here to ask for another alternative spot to either just store the stuff, or if there's room, we can even put up a small portion of the museum where the children and the community can enjoy it. And our mission is to educate our future kiddos about Dexter. So that's why I think that it fits so well with the school and that they've agreed to all of this for so long. So that's our first request for you all to consider. And then we do want you to know that we have a plan for a new museum. We just don't know when it's going to get here. We plan to, Dexter had, I'll pass this around, Dexter had a depot for many, many years. It came in 1909. It left in the 70s. We haven't nailed down the exact time yet, but it's been in Roswell on private property for most of these years. It was used as a storefront for a few years, but on private property, and the people that own it, they're passionate about Old Depot. They have taken wonderful care of it. They've kept it painted and roofed. It still has Dexter across the end of it. The inside is really interesting because there's still like phone numbers from when there was only like 4 digits written on the wall, and there's some real history there. So our plan is to bring that back, and we're working with the city of Dexter to bring that back and use that as the museum. It's going to take some cash, and that's why we brought our handy dandy little safe box here. We're starting a donation campaign, and you're going to be seeing these little boxes around Dexter and in Roswell to try to start collecting funds so that we can get that building moved out.
Is there any idea what it would take?
Yeah.
I mean, to speak to
You
that.
got the numbers, yeah.
Okay, I went through exercise, early 2024 and 23. Talked to about 12 different building movers. Some of them are retired, and I was only able to find one building mover called Big R, and they gave us an estimate. They showed up, and we did a route and where to remove it, where to put it, that niche, on the site they would move to, which is near the original site. And his estimate quote to move it was $51,000. So at the same time, though, the family that owns it, they wanted a certain amount of money. They wanted us to pay them $20,000. But the family called me, our missus, she called me about 3 months ago and said that she wants it back in Dexter. She'll just gift us the depot and not require the $20,000. So I'm just going through the process to call building movers again, see if I can find a better rate other than that. So I'm in the middle of that. So. Yeah. So that's what we're looking at. So we're looking at doing a GoFundMe page. I'm exploring which QR code to add to this later.
Yeah.
And that's basically the gist of it.
And we're also going to be sending out letters of please donate to the cause to people that have been here for many years and have a real interest in keeping the history of Dexter alive.
And we met with the city council, and we have a place, and they would set it up. So the other part of the fundraising is also getting funds so the city can use it to set up the building, normal center blocks, and then get a bunch of other things.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, and then when that happens, we'd use inside of it as the new museum.
Yeah.
It's cooler whenever you can have it in something.
And do you need this back, Ms. Berg?
Yes, please. Oh, is there any place that, I don't know if nonprofits can help out other nonprofits. Any place that we can put one of these at the school, or can we come to the ball game and bring?
We have 6 boxes, so we're gonna put them around.
Let me double check board policy. I think there's nothing wrong with trying to advertise, hey, we're doing this. I'm not sure collecting is, we should look at that before I say yes or no. And then figure it.
So we have a PO box, and we can do something like that.
Yeah.
We're developing a QR code.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. guys.
Right, thank you for coming down.
Yeah, that's cool work. Thank you. That's awesome work. Thanks.
Oh, thank you. Help it. And down.
Are you leaving? That's your stuff.
No, no.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah, y'all are able to see. Has the town considered partnering with y'all and asking for legislative funding? Yes. We're not advertising it, but we've had it in for years and no government, so.
Yeah, they went to the legislature, but didn't get passed.
Try again.
Requested-
Yeah.
Yes, it's requested with Mitch.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Those demons.
Yeah,
Yes.
go Demons.
Okay. We're good to go back to the construction report.
Okay.
So construction report, we finally have a little go. The core team met with the design professionals last week for page turner. We went through schematic design and received an update to timeline. You have that timeline in your packet. And I really just want you to know that based upon that timeline, it looks like we will break ground March of 2027 is the projected timeline for that. So exciting in that regard, but also I feel like there's a whole lot of things that are still up and in the air and not necessarily concrete because the schematic design is very free, for lack of better words. And as we move through the construction design, it gets to be a lot more concrete and physical information. So the other thing is we are going to have a design meeting on this Thursday at 3:30. So if I will make sure Ms. Kobos knows, and then Ms. Miles, if you can come, that would be great. Yes. And if not, maybe one of the other two of you or even Linda could come and step in. I think, what are we doing on Thursday? We're doing teams. I'll include them. Okay, so they could even do it on, yeah, if you can't make it, they won't be here in person, so.
Okay, thank you.
Or your staff is off contract.
And then, so we already have gone through 3D student reports and we recognize those students. I do want to stop at 3C. You have all of the department reports. Chris would like to give you a quick overview of, if you notice today, it's not in here, but they have been working on our fire alarm system and there is a change order. So he's going to just make sure that you're aware. It doesn't need approval, but just so that way you know we're headed there.
So yes, as Mr. Pierce said, y'all have already approved this project. Whenever the plans were sent to the fire marshal, the fire marshal wanted some different things. So of course we have to go with what he says, and we don't have a choice in it. So that did make some change orders. So it's pulling more wire and a little bit more labor involved, and that's the reason for the change order. So I mean, any other questions as far as that goes, I can answer for you if you'd like me to, but it's just pretty much what the fire marshal wants. Fire marshal.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Our hope is the new build though, less change orders saves way more money. So
Yeah,
we're big.
we won't have any change orders. Well, we're we're gonna limit as many as we can.
That's exactly.
So yeah.
With pre-planning, that's
Right.
Yep.
Well, it's hard when you have old buildings that have to be,
It is. Oh, and then also just give y'all a little bit of an update. The practice field has got the new irrigation system put in. Thank you for that. They are hydro seeding it. So hopefully tomorrow afternoon, that was gonna be up and going full blast. So we'll be able to grow a lot more grass. The football field will be getting fertilized later this week. And then we also had some grass seed donated to the school. They donated 300 pounds of grass seed that will be putting on the football field. It's supposed to be a really good grass that they use on the soccer field and everything's supposed to last a lot better.
Nice.
Super nice.
And then the cafeteria.
Cafeteria plumbing is done. Thank you. The only thing we're waiting on there is the cement that they poured back has to cure for 25 days before they can do the epoxy on the floor. So towards the end of this month, they will be doing the epoxy on the floor. Once that's set up, the cafeteria ladies will come in. They'll clean everything up to Shelley specifications, and then we'll put the cafeteria back together so it'll be up and going before the school years.
Right. Are we allowed to know who donated the grass seed?
Absolutely.
Can you tell me what his name is? I can't remember. Who?
Sure. Trevor Gray.
Trevor Gray.
Other one. No.
No.
Travis.
Travis. There, yeah, there we go.
Travis
cool.
Gray and Coach.
And Coach Pump and Supply.
Very
They
cool.
both went into together and they donated all that.
That's awesome. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, that's us.
Travis would like us to say go Bobcats. That was his
Was
one
it?
request. There it is on camera.
We're gonna put you back in elementary for another.
Well.
He really
went
wants
to
to be on the
elementary.
scoreboard, but now
Travis
it's an
went
option.
to elementary. He didn't graduate from Dexter, but he attended Dexter as an elementary student.
Oh, okay. That's all we needed to know.
He has a little blue in his heart.
He needs to come back to his roots.
Yeah.
He's
The
trying.
grassroots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
grassroots, yeah, grassroots movement.
Awesome.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you all.
Yes,
Thank you, Chris. Moving on to superintendent report. I just came back from the Ron Clark Academy last week. There was 18 of us who went all together. I really hope to do a little video and have all the teachers share with you guys what they learned, because I learned a lot, but as I talk to teachers, more and more, they're like, oh, remember this happened and we learned this. So a lot of really good things came out of this. And what I really found the most important is we need to watch other people teach too. That is really important. All of these skills, we can tell people, hey, this is a really good idea. But when you watch somebody else engage with students, it shows that it can be done. So very much teachers are very thankful for the opportunity we had to go and watch that. And I look forward to being able to present. This will be our third week of PD. This week we've had, the first week we did SIOP. Then last week we went to Atlanta, and then this week we're doing Kagan the other 4 days. So lots and lots of really good strategies for our teachers. And so we'll have them share in the next few board meetings with you guys, because I think that's important.
Do each of those teachers have like one thing that they are going to work on implementing?
So at the Ron Clark Academy, it was really big on 1%. Like, you're going to learn all of this information, but if you try to come back and implement everything in one fell swoop, you'll probably fail because of the fact that you're trying to do too many things, versus if you'll be 1% better every single day, you'll grow upon what you already know. So yes, they all have different, and we took a survey afterwards. So the academy took its own survey, but we asked our teachers, and even we presented the survey to ourselves. And that way we can hold each other accountable. Hey, you said you want to do this. How do we look at that? And it's not punitive in any way, but it's more of like, hey, remember, you saw this and you wanted us to hold you accountable for that.
Yeah, awesome.
Cool. I have staff attendance report. And so that is in your packet. Just a little end of year information from 24-25 and then the 25-26 school year. Our substitute fill rate went up. So the number of subs we have now is, and we were even grown more, and they're filling our positions. So we're having less jobs open considerably that were open last year. And our teachers who are on prep are not having to compensate for that. So that's exciting. And it accidentally skipped to slide 2, but slide 1 has employee teacher absent hours comparison. And so I have all staff on that graph, and you'll notice that it did go down by over 500 hours. And then you'll see that our elementary school, the number of absences also decreased. We had middle school that increased. We had some long-term subs at the middle school in which they didn't have the previous year, which made their hours go up. And then our high school also had a decline in the number of hours absent. So definitely more time with our kids, which I think is positive, and things we need to celebrate, especially for our substitutes, because sometimes we don't thank them enough for being here and filling in that gap. So definitely positive in that regard. I have attached, last year we went over goals for the district. And kind of where we're at the end of the school year, looking at it. The board, we did meet last 2 Fridays ago and determine goals for this next school year, and including the next 2 after that as well. But I wanted us to kind of go over the ones that I had set for the district previously, because we didn't have a strategic plan, where we're at and how we can still get better in these areas. So the first one was culture and climate surveys and walkthroughs. So we did do those walkthroughs. What I saw with the surveys that we implemented in the spring and in the fall, we did see growth from this last fall to the previous fall. But what we saw to this spring is we did have some dips. And I really think some of that has to do with when we provide survey. Even teachers are tired by the end of the year. What typically would not bother them bothers them more, but there is some really good information still to be gleaned from this survey. did not add any of the parent information here, but we had as many parents take the survey, in the fall as we did spring. So they are providing lots of input, and the piece we gathered from that is they want more opportunity for parent engagement, not just parent-teacher conference. So that's something as we start for next school year, figuring out how can we get parents here more often and to have them involved in their students' education is a big piece. One area that I wanted to mention is when you look at the teacher results, our elementary school has some really good growth in the area of mentorship. They're at 88%. I want to call it proficient because it doesn't really have a proficiency piece, but they believe that 88% of the time that they're supported in a mentorship capacity. And then also it grew 18% in feedback and coaching. So elementary school, I think based upon this survey, feels very supported in some ways that previously maybe they hadn't felt. So excited for that. We do have some areas of concern and some areas of need that I'm not sure, things we need to explore a little bit. But our middle school, the school climate went down 11 percentage points. And then our middle school climate for teachers also went down. So definitely an area we need to look at as well. But also knowing that the surveys given at the end of the year is hard for staffing as well. So we're going to continue to provide these surveys and still provide the feedback, because I think we gleaned a lot of information, especially whenever they can type in information. Students is just clicking through questions and answers, but our parents and our teachers both get to add information in there that they find important. And so we had 30 parents say that they want to be more involved in their students' education. So out of, I want to say there was 56 of them, that's a big majority that, want more opportunities to come and be with their kids. So we'll be utilizing that. The second goal was to maintain full compliance with NMPED. As the accreditation rolled out last year, when we did a self-audit, we noticed that there were several areas that we could improve. As of right now, we have completed all areas within the due dates that we are aware of. And so we are still awaiting the accreditation documentation that will come out in July. So excited for that hopefully we'll meet accreditation fully in that area. So, and then the last thing, ensuring that every minute of instructional day is used purposely to engage students in a rigorous standards-aligned learning from opening to closing bell. This seems pretty easy whenever you think about, okay, you're just going to teach the entire, if it's 90 minutes, 55 minutes, or even in the elementary school from the time kids get there in the morning till the time they leave. What we gleaned from doing what I gleaned from doing walkthroughs initially is a lot of teachers just didn't know what that looks like, how to transition to the next activity, how to keep students engaged, because they might still be teaching, but are they engaged with students synchronously? So this goal, after analyzing this, really important that we give some training to teachers. And we've already started that process with our trainings this summer, as well as what we're giving them during the school year. But I think that's the expectation, should not necessarily, because it was very lofty. At least 95% of observed instructional time will be spent on active teaching and learning. We need to go back to the drawing board, and we need to really ensure that teachers understand, what does this mean? How does that look? And that way we can accurately guide this goal in the future. So we did go ahead and just decide that we needed more training versus to hold this goal to the accountability piece. Subs, I just wanted to take a moment to thank them. We've had a lot willing to step up and take over classrooms, and then most substitutes, the most substitutes we had in one day this year was 19 subs. So that's a lot of people out, but that's also a lot of people who stepped up to step in for our kids. I provided you the staffing for next school year. Jeannie usually puts this in her slide for the budget That way, if there's any changes, adds or subtracts from that. I wanted it to be a little bit more informational, and so you'll see that I've color coded all of the different areas. If there's a new position, which the only new position on there is a program secretary. So prior to me taking superintendent, we did have a program secretary and we had a special education secretary. Before me as well, they consolidated to one person to see if it was possible. The issue we've found is that all of our IEPs need to be translated into that student's language. And so our special ed secretary / program secretary is spending a lot of time on both. And so we're having to, I don't want to say pick up the pieces, but we're having to spend extra time that we need that secretarial duty. She needs to be able to do her job, which is those IEPs and the special education office information. And then we need a program secretary that will take care of all of our programs. With the program secretary, the funding for that will be 50% from federal programs, so not general operation, and then the other 50% will be general operations. We had a maintenance man, that's all I can think of, leave. And so we have that funding we were not looking at losing to move to that position for next school year to pay for that position. So. Next, there's board training link. Jonathan, can I borrow the keyboard for just a moment? I really want them to see what this looks like because, yeah, if you'll just go to Google and go to NMPD training, board training. So as you're in these workshops now, they have a dashboard. And that way, as soon as you get your hours, it shows where you got your hours. And so it makes it easier to track your hours as well. We're not going to have to track them individually on paper or remember anymore. And so. Yeah, or even the next one that I can.
Check it out.
It's right here, school board.
It was.
Tracking information. Public information is also on this.
I think you I have.
And then just type in any board member's last name.
BATISTA.
Yours is not the one I choose to type, just I like the short ones.
I feel like it's short. Well, Miles is shorter, yeah. Cobos is short.
Oh, no. She's a better one.
Hey.
And so then it pulls up the training requirements here. And also if you click on your name, it will tell you even, okay, you went to this, it was at the 2026 law conference. So I felt like this was something big that came out of law conferences. We have now able to track in real time.
Nice.
Yep, and it's pretty instantaneous. You submit it and it shows within minutes.
So we have 2 complete.
Nice.
Wow. Good. And then the strategic, Mrs. Cobos asked, I guess, the strategic planning adds hours as well, right?
It does.
Yes.
In what departments?
Uh,
Or was it, I don't remember what was it asked.
I don't know which areas and I'm thinking, David Chavez is coming this next week on the 17th to meet with the leadership team. I'm thinking he's probably waiting until the entirety of the process is done, right? Because after he meets with leadership, then he'll meet with board again before it's all over. But I can definitely ask him on the 17th what areas that'll go into, because that will also be helpful, so. But this is a big deal because we were having to remember or
Yeah.
keep our emails for
Yes.
who went to what, and so. July sixth,
What's the completion date? I'm sorry. Is it?
And the,
assumed office, is that what, oh, this is by December 31st. Okay. Yeah, it runs on, actual year, not on the
Yeah.
fiscal year.
Okay.
I guess due to the voting and when people take office.
Okay.
July sixth board meeting, we need to have that quick meeting so that way we can, go over the resolution for, ETN. Do you want to have it at night? Do you want to have it in the morning? Do you want to have it at noon?
What is that land?
that's July 6th, you said?
Yes.
Oh.
And that's the day I was asking.
Okay.
We're gonna have to figure something out.
Oh no, yeah, how
Have
do
it
we
in the
do
morning,
that?
then we,
Oh, are you leaving?
oh, no.
Okay, I was gonna say, cause can we change days because of that? You don't need to? Then let's do morning, let's get it done.
Yeah, okay. So we'll have that meeting in the morning. It shouldn't take,
Time,
it's
0600, 0700?
you good with that?
6 o'clock.
On the 6th. And then last thing on my report is just the requesting the annual leave for 7th, 6th, 28th, and 29th.
Okay.
Not going anywhere, just gonna take some time.
Good for you.
Good.
Before we move on, Batista, would you like to report on the law conference? Also board reports.
If I said no, no, just kidding, no, it's fine.
We wouldn't, but-
Right, public speaking.
Public speaking. Law conference went well. They are definitely not teachers, but still very knowledgeable and have a ton of information to share. Some of the very helpful ones to go to were around, oh gosh, I can see his face, Carl. It was our first meeting that on Saturday. Oh, it was all about board compliance and maintaining that and making sure that you could follow that. Super handy. That will be a PowerPoint I will be downloading and I will hand it off to the rest of us, as well as some of the parliamentary procedure to be able to maintain. And so those were helpful, but it was rather easy, simple, crank out all your hours in one conference. So yeah, that was nice. So thanks for organizing that, everybody who organized hotels, all the things.
Awesome.
Okay, 5, business.
Strategic planning.
Oh, yeah, we should.
Yeah, that went really, really well. Mr. Chavez kind of kept us on time. We actually finished with like 15 minutes to spare. The group came together really, really nicely and it was very productive as well.
Agreed.
Yep. Okay.
5, business.
All right, Adam. No, 6. That's our, we have to add
You
one.
are correct.
Yes. So item 6, business. 6A, first reading of policy advisory, number 273-GBGC. You want me to just go through them all, or do you want to kind of tell us on that?
Do A and B, and I'll talk about A and B.
Okay, so item 6B, first reading of policy advisory, number 274-KDB, public's rights to know. Talk to us. What do you got?
So both of these are policy advisories from NMSBA. The first one is a recommendation to change our policy to update the language and make it more clear for when the district can ask for an employee to undergo a medical examination. It used to say for a physician to do that, and now it's added things like mental health. I don't remember but it added some clarity in the language because it just used to say physician. So that's and these are first readings, and so we'll bring these again in July. We have the first reading of the public's right to know. This is an IPRA, and so most of the law conference was based upon IPRA, which is the Public Inspections Act. And one piece of change is that we must post on our district website, in which we currently do. So it won't be any change to us, but now it'll be in policy that we have to, who our records custodian is, will have to be on the website, so.
Okay, so any questions or anything like that? Okay, so item 6C, approval of policy G-3200, professional staff vacations and holidays.
So these next C, D, E, and F are all together. And what it's doing is it's changing. We used to have earned personal. And with those earned personal days, staff had to pay $112 or half of their daily rate as a personal day option. After reviewing the amount that it costs the district, which is about $5,000 a year, which it saves the district about $5,000 a year, in which these employees are putting back. The amount of time it's taking for staff, as well as the fact that this is a great way to provide our staff without days that they have to pay for. We would just put those into personal leave. So they would be able to still use them. All our leave will now be sick leave, in which they'll be able to use 6 of those 6 sick leave days as personal days. And that way, all of them will still stay in the sick leave bank that go through there. So that's the change. When we made these changes last year to some of these policies, we only changed one, and there's 2 policies that mirror each other. So we have the professional, and then we have support staff, and they have their own policies. And so all the language should mirror each other, so it's the same across the board. So we provide the same opportunity for all. So I recommend approval for G7500, G2550, G2600, and G3200.
I move we approve these policy changes.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously for the approval of policy G3200, G7500, G2550, and G2600. Okay, item 6G, approval of policy I-7350, graduation requirements.
So
But,
this policy, Louis, you for sure should have gotten a text message on a survey we provided to all parents. And this requirement, we asked parents to let us know if they were in favor for these changes. So what that looked like is for us to provide career explorations at the middle school level now, taking that out of our high school, in which that was a board requirement. We must have 2 classes that constitute board requirements for our local choice. And so what that would do is it's going to change. We're going to have no longer capstone. We're going to call that seminar. In that survey, we asked parents what were most important to teach through that seminar class, what things they would like to see in terms of job
skills.
job skills, but interview skills. Yeah. So interview skills, scholarship writing, even applying to jobs. And so we linked all of that information in there for parents to rank that. So that will base some of our class off of for the seminar class, in which we'll still use some of the capstone information where those kids are either picking college or picking their job, but everything they do is built upon that, and that's how they present. And then the other secondary option is 2 options, either A, financial literacy, in which we heard from the strategic planning, that was a big opportunity we were missing, as well as whenever we asked parents about it in the survey, that was a great hit. But students will be able to either take financial literacy, or they'll do a completer for their CTE course. So they'll have done all 3 of the recommended courses through PED to provide that completion. So based upon the CTE courses that they take, it will change. But as we looked at other districts, some of them have 15 courses that could be their completer courses, and they just list them on there. So that is an option. And I think both are good options, and based on students' needs, we'll be able to provide that to them. So I recommend that we do change the graduation requirements to our two local options being now seminar, and then the secondary option is financial literacy or a CTE completer.
And that takes a motion.
Yes.
Yes.
That's not a state pass down, like you have to have X amount of credits, like we can just add to that and say, hey, we.
So, right now, they have to have 24 credits, and 2 of those credits have to be a local choice
Okay.
that we enact.
Okay, so we're just choosing those as our local.
Yes.
Got it. Sorry, I missed that part. I know you
And
said it.
100%, we could add upon what the state requirement is, but right now we're at the 24 that they recommend, and then 2 of those have to be what we select,
Mhm.
and based upon that, that's what our choices are.
Perfect.
Okay, do we have a motion on the floor for the approval of policy I-7350?
I move that we approve policy I-7350.
I second.
And a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Item 6H, approval of inventory deletions.
So some of these deletions have come before you before. However, we have a better process to keep track of those, as well as there is a device recycling. Is that the best word to call it?
So we have a room full of goodies back there. And this is a big database. So this is 22 pages of fun. Some of these things may already be gone or whatever. It's quite kind of unknown. We're just going through the formality. And Artesia at the transfer station has a recycle thing on the 18th and 19th. And I gave them a call and they said, hey, you're a school, you guys want to come early, so we're gonna go on the 17th.
Oh, nice.
With a trailer, couple trailer loads of stuff and try and clean this room out back.
This is
Nice.
anything that doesn't have resale value, or
Yeah. Quite old items.
not giant computers. I read on or TVs. That's a no-go. They will not let you get rid of box TVs, but
We still have a few.
Interesting.
We still have some we need to pull out of the classrooms.
I recommend approval of inventory deletions and
Motion?
I move that we approve the inventory deletion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Item 6I, approval of math curriculum, ES and MS.
yeah, so let me talk a little bit about price, and then also middle school. They did send me a PowerPoint, however, it is locked. So I'm just going to talk through what I know about the middle school curriculum they chose. Elementary school curriculum is going to cost $81,000. And looking at 6 years ago when we adopted, it was $42,000 at that point. So 6 years with inflation, I mean, it is doubled in price, but also that's textbooks for kids every single year. And so I really enjoyed the process elementary put through there. And I'm not going to discount middle school because I just wasn't part of it, but elementary really did dig deep and really did want something that was really rigorous for their kids, knowing that the higher that the level it was, that they would be able to meet that. So middle school has chosen Reveal Math by McGraw-Hill. And the reason that they chose this is currently they have a lot of online, the Savvas that they're currently using, a lot of it is online. So in terms of doing work, implementing that, it's really good. So that way students know if they did it right or not instantaneously. However, there's some quirks with the software in terms of if you don't put it in there just specific, it doesn't give the kids credit for that. So they would like to move away from that kind of style and more back to teacher-led information. But they do understand that there needs to be a piece of that is on the computer as well. And so they chose Savvas. And the reason for that is it has a program called Alex with it. And that's an individualized math resource that gives them where they're at and helps build the skill to wherever they're going. So with their intervention time, they'll be able to use that program and whatever they're teaching, and they talk together and link well. So that was a big seller for them as well. The price of McGraw Hill for middle school is 42, I think 42,000. And they also provided parent input for their math curriculum as well. And so I recommend approval for both these curriculums.
The 81,000 is for,
Elementary school.
but that's for,
That's for all the teacher textbooks, the online
Portal.
portal, so that way teachers can get on there. They can also provide, at the elementary level, they can still provide tests online if they want to, but it's not an extensive online piece. There is, on the days that they have the review, there is an online game, if you want to say, for your kids who've met the standard to push on. So there is some of that built in as well, but it is not like online piece. And then that includes your textbooks for students every year. So it'll be on a renewed
For how many years?
for 6. So that's
Okay,
what the
perfect, okay.
till the next adoption cycle
Okay.
is up.
Oh, nice, okay.
Okay, we have a motion.
I move we approve the math adoption for both elementary and middle school.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Wait a second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Motion passes unanimously. Item 7, finance and facilities. 7A, approval of May bills and payroll.
Any question?
no questions.
Nope.
I move that we approve May bills and payroll.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item B, approval of budget adjustments.
So I can get my list, but a minute ago I was checking my email and we have 2 more, Title III and migrant, that I haven't been able to open and look at, so, and they're due June 15th. I don't know how we want to handle that. And they're both
That's next
changes
week.
to this year's budget, so we have to get those bars in. I don't know if we need to.
Can we pass it with flexibility on that, or is there?
Like, can we move those in quick?
Usually that's what we have done in the past at the May meeting. That used to, bars were due like early June. And at the May meeting, the board would allow us to process bars and then bring them back to you. That would be helpful. I don't know if we're gonna get more. So these came in after 4. I just didn't catch it in time.
It's okay.
Try to figure it out.
Are we allowed to approve those? Does she need to pull them up on the screen to show them to us?
So, well, I just looked at the emails. I don't know. I know they're both increases in Title III and migrant. I just, like I said, I didn't even realize it was there.
So there's options in terms of you can approve bars as is, or you can approve bars from here till June 30th. So with the caveat that anything will be brought back
Gotcha.
in July. That was an audit finding we had last year because on June 30th, even though we had a board meeting, we did receive an increase that day.
We have not yet received our tax
And that's what it was.
distribution, and that's,
So you know that's coming.
yeah, I mean, it's a monthly thing. I was explaining to Molly in the old days, before the election shift, we got our large distribution in May, now it's coming in June. So, and that affects, for whatever reason, PEB only allows us to budget 1% of the revenue they say we're going to get. If we get more, if as a taxpayer, maybe I'm paying some delinquent taxes are being paid, those start taken into that estimation. And so our 1% expense goes up, and that's, yes, it is likely that in June also, that county taxes could be affected.
Okay, so
So essentially, we can make a motion to approve these bars and all bars through June 30th.
so let's
Yes.
let's make a motion to amend right here, approval of budget adjustments through
June
June
30th.
30th. And then we'll pass
Then
that
we'll-
and then we'll come back and.
There.
And we'll bring those right on the July 6th
Yeah.
morning meeting, so that way you guys can see them. It'll be.
Okay.
Right there.
That's good.
Cool. I move that we approve the expansion of the budget adjustments. How did you phrase it? You phrased it very well.
June 30.
Through June 30.
Yes. With flexibility through June 30th. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
And just a comment, personal opinion, but well, the state's opinion. You know, if we get an increase like this at this time of year, school's out. We can't, that money's intended for this year's kids. We can't use it that way. The logical thing would be for us, for them to allow us to add it to our July
Correct.
budget, but there's no logic there, so. And we're gonna increase it. We're not gonna spend it.
Yep.
It's going to end up being carryover again. It could very likely just keep happening every year.
Good to know. Thanks.
So I just caught myself with something. So that was just an amendment to it.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
now-
I was trying to
Yes, so
make a
now,
motion for the amendment.
yes, so now we gotta pass the amended. Okay?
Yep.
So now, items 7B, the amended,
I move that we approve the amended
yes,
budget adjustment.
yes,
I will second that.
perfect, thank you. We're trying to do things right, see? Yeah, okay, we have motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. The amended,
The amended one.
yes, 7B. Okay, so now 7C, approval of FY 27 operating budget. No, fiscal
Here is
year-
Jeannie's presentation, so.
Okay, cool. Your time to shine, Jeannie. Thank you. I can take a break now.
It's supposed to be.
All right, y'all.
I am, a lot of this is just, I mean, you've heard some of it before, so I'm gonna try to move quick. I know y'all don't wanna sit here all night, so please just stop me if you have a question. And if you wanna go deeper, I mean, I'm fine to do it here, but also it might be a good time to maybe just take note of things that we wanna go deeper about, and we can do them some more finance positions.
Sure.
So, just, here we go. Our process starts on the 40th day, the 80th day. You can kind of see what happens throughout the year. We really start talking budget come August, when school's starting, when we settle down. We're already talking about the next year. But then we use our 40th day to estimate what our numbers might be the following year. We use it again on the 80th day. And then once we get 1/20th, we average those numbers and we know exactly, well, almost, depending on legislative changes. But that's our calendar. So revenue is the money that's coming in. Part of revenue is something you hear around, it's called cash balance. We want to try stand around and try to get this in our heads. We stop calling it cash balance. It's an operational reserve. It's money we need before it starts flowing again in July. We need it to pay July payroll. Our 12-month employees are getting paid July 10th or 10 days in at least. Our risk premium, our property liability is like $650,000. It's crazy, but that's due in July. And then our June 30 balance you can get our RFRs, our reimbursements that we didn't receive by June 30th. We've got to cover that cash. So, and I got to say though, one head has gotten so much better about those RFRs. They're getting them to us quicker. So hopefully it won't be as, there won't be as much that's due to us. This is just an overview, and I'm not going to go through this, but it's the funding formula. Down there with the little star, you know, I know what the buzzword every year is unit value. What is our unit value? Because that's what we need to multiply everything to figure out how much we're going to get. So I'm just going to break down part of this as we go on. Here, our unit value for next year is 71.17 cents, which is a nice increase from the previous year. It makes sense that it has increased every year because, you know, the state is receiving the revenue, the cost of education, just like everything else increases. The increase is to be expected. The basis of this, what determines it, is our membership. Ted refers to it as MIM all the time. And that's what we're reporting on that 40, 80th, 120th into NOVA. And basically it's our kids, it's rears and seats. So we're just counting our kids by grade level and reporting that. But you can see that's where part of our issues lie, is because we're decreasing. I'm gonna go ahead and go to the next slide just to kind of show you where we're comparing this year, even though I haven't labeled FY 27 because that's what the number we use, but that's this year's 8120 average. And my little arrow there is just illustrating, we're looking at last year's kindergarten comparing to this year's first graders. So you can see where we're going down. In membership alone, before units become a part of it, it's a almost $300,000 loss in revenue that we're seeing. But then they take our membership and they turn it into units. Each grade level is weighted. So on the left is just by grade. A pre-K and kindergartner
Costs more to educate. Essentially, they think it costs more to educate pre-K and kinder, and then as they get into sixth grade, it costs more to educate those students.
and on the right is by the unit, like Molly's, or the weighting as Molly's talked about. So you can see what grade 2 and 3 is going to be cheaper to educate than pre-K or high school as we go. So that's important in it. There are other things within the formula that generate units. Talk about membership. TCI is our teacher cost index. That is basically a report based on our October payroll, which is the reason we tell new staff or any staff, if the staff is moving up a level or if some EAs have additional college credit, we give them a September 25th-ish deadline so that we've got it in September 30th. And we can pay them on that in October, because that's when we have to pull the numbers as to how many staff we're paying, what level they are. And that determines, and there's a nice little formula that comes up with a TCI index. I don't have a slide on it. I thought I did, but just one time. So this last year, for the FY 26 budget, our TCI was 1.017. So everyone gets however many staff I report, gets multiplied by 1, but then that extra 100. But this year it went down 1.001, went down, 0.016, based on just using, because we can't really compare it to last year's unit value. So if we're using this year's, it's $300,000. That tiny change really affects us. When we have folks retire who are level 3, and then we hire level 1, we're going to be paying less, but in the following year, we're going to generate less, which is okay if that's how it works out. But, level 1 leaves, we hire a level 3, we're not going to be getting that revenue to, for that higher level teacher. So that's just a very important number in our formula. Special ed, the different levels in special ed create units. The elementary fine arts program is not a separate fund, it's within our SEG, but our number of elementary students has a unit multiplied out. That's how we get our fine arts budget. The bilingual program, we no longer have the bilingual education program. I should have graded that out because that's not affecting us. And then growth and national board certified don't affect us. Number one, because we're not growing. If we were growing at the 40th day, or we would see additional units, but our membership is not increasing. We get some units because our high school is less than population, less than 400, and our middle school is less than 200. Elementary is over 200, so there are no additional units there. And then there are also additional units because our district is less than 4,000. And the idea there is no matter how large or small your school is, there are costs that are involved. You still need a lot of the same staff, even though we're smaller. You still need someone running payroll, and you need a superintendent. So that's the reason for the size adjustments.
There's a rural population index, we get a little bit, I cannot tell you how that is calculated. Haven't figured that one out. It's based on averages. English learners is also based on a 3-year average, and this is something new within our SCG this year. There is money, not in a separate fund, but within the SCG for English learners. And so, like, I draw that out, each of these things like special ed and English learners and at risk. I pull out, what those numbers are to get a figure. So that we know how much we have to spend on English learners or how much we have to budget. We may not spend it all, but we know how much it's generating. So how much we're going to budget. So I know with the EL being new this year, Ms. Watson is working on, and Molly and the principals are working on some plans on how to best use that money. I mean, there's talk of curriculum, maybe could be, that is, it's in the works, but we have budgeted that money. K-12 plus is our calendar because we exceed the 155 day. We are allowed to count some teacher work days, and I know when y'all approve the calendar, we kind of talked about that. Out of school time activities, this is very minute, but we take advantage of it. If we have kids here who are, they're homeschooled, that they live in our district, they can play ball or be involved in FFA. They still register with us, even though they're not our full-time student. The same for charter school. If we have kids going to an online charter or Sydney Gutierrez, if they live in our district, we get a very tiny amount of money that, hey, we need to take advantage of it. There's other funding within the SCG that has nothing to do with, I mean, it all has, but we can't like pull it out, say these units times these students times unit value equal. And so the legislature, $55 million for instructional materials, $59 million for those, the structured literacy, mentorship, CTE, and $2 million for free products, menstrual products. Our portion of the entire state's SCG is 0.29%. So we take that 55 million, multiply it by the 0.29, we get a really close, pretty close. That's in some of the programs like instructional materials, they calculate it. They say, okay, you're going to get 150,000. And it is very, very close. So I don't know how close my percentage is, my 0.29, but it's close enough to give us an idea. So those are the things. There's been a lot of discussion going back on emails from some districts. Gallup is really big on this. Like, we need units and an index for it so we can calculate it. Don't know that we'll get it. So this chart just shows how much when we say operational, I know we use it in a couple ways here. When I say operational, sometimes I just mean our 11,000 general operations fund, but like in the budget sense, what it takes to operate our district. So that's our operational money, our transportation, textbooks, instructional materials, and food service. Even though food service is out of a completely different federal USDA fund, that's still just something we look at. You'll see that next year has no yellow for transportation because even now at this point, they have not given us our transportation allocation. And I hated to estimate this time because we're going down. It makes sense. We're not driving as much. We're driving less, one day less a week. So our allocation is going to look different next year. I just hated, unlike the SCG, there's no spreadsheet where I can estimate my own transportation allocation. But just from that,
real quick, on the transportation allocation, this is held up because districts didn't get their 120th day reporting complete like they were supposed to. So they're holding everybody's hostage until those districts get their stuff together. So it is not us.
That's good enough.
So we don't know what's going on. This is just another picture of this. Like, our operational, coming back to the 11,000 general operation, it is
practically 100% the SEG that we generate. There are other tiny little things in there. Indirect costs is money that some of our federal programs pay the district for, just to oversimplify, like overhead. You know, we're not charging out part of the electricity bill to Title I. We're just taking this indirect cost. And the state sets that indirect cost rate. But it's just another picture to kind of help you to hopefully get a visual of how important that SCG is and how important our membership is. So the other side of the budget is expenditures, you know, what we're spending. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I think if y'all are ever interested, you know, when y'all look at bars or even sometimes you'll hear us talk about the different functions, it's all part of our chart of accounts. Everything we do, whether it's payroll or accounts payable, when we do PO, we have to put in the fund, the function, the object. So just starting with fund, this is an old picture that Nancy helped us come up with a long time ago.
Long time ago.
Yeah, but that, I don't know, you know, but me just a visual help sometime to see. Those are our different types of funds: operational, transportation, food. Down at the bottom, there is no pot for debt service, but that's only debt service is when we're collecting taxes just to pay our bond payments. And I'll hit most of these just pretty quickly, but please slow down. And, so special federal and state funds. Right now, I think we're managing there are about 25 of them. You got all your titles, your migrant, your federal special ed. Keep in mind we have state special ed and federal special ed funding. Our Medicaid, New Mexico pre-K is one, and I should have said this in our membership. Please just know our New Mexico pre-K kids are not counted in that because it is funded completely separately with their own formula on how they fund us. So there are kids, and they are reported in NOVA, but just not as part of our SEG.
And they're reported as part of the SEG if they receive special education services. So that's the reason that it had them had a multiplier next to them, is if they receive special education services, we can count them towards the SEG, but only if.
So those are most of our, you know, we get some other small ones here and there. On the Perkins, the CTE, I think this year we have 2 new ones that we've never had before, but they're all for the same purpose. Another set of funds, another pot of money is our capital outlay. Usually when y'all are approving a project, it is most likely coming out of one or a capital outlay fund. Because number one, in operational, we can't spend our program or whatever is 4,000. We can't spend anything in that function out of operational without Fed permission. Not saying it didn't happen. Some schools save their cash balances or operational reserve because they have a big project, and then they ask Fed, you know, we'd like to spend this on this new construction. So it can happen, but everything for us, for the most part, comes out of capital outlay. Our SB9, part of that is tax money coming in. That's what the majority of our maintenance supplies, things like that come out of. We have a second SB9 with the election, state SB9, and that's going to be, you know, for repairs and maintenance, a little more costly. Our local SB9 is, for the most part, it's supplies and consumables, things like that. And then of course we have our local bond and our ed tech notes that Kaylee spoke about today. Our local bond, I have old information there, sorry, next election 2023 for 24, but it will be in 2027. We'll have a bond election again for the beginning January, the 2028 school year. We kind of have that shift when they change the election, timing of the election. You know, board elections used to be in March. So sorry, I missed that. And then bonds sold, just in my, once I figured this out, you know, we're borrowing money. So we have an election, we have 4 years to borrow the money. If we go out for $1 million, we could sell bonds or borrow $250,000 a year. We could borrow $500,000 for 2 years. And we try to really, and Kaylee is good about that, even though, we pay them to be our bond advisor, it's expensive to sell bonds. I mean, it's unreal how much we pay them and the bond counsel. So she's very good at working with us and saying, hey, if we can, let's wait and do it every other year. That will save y'all on some costs to the district. It's not, going to the attorneys, but it's going towards a building or a roof or plumbing. Ed tech notes we talked about, normally that's 400,000. But like she said, we have some extra reserve, extra collections that we can use. The public school capital outlay, that's how we're building this new building. I have that split, but right now what we're paying on the design phase of the building is an 1882 split, because 2 or 3 years ago, the legislature passed that they're going to reduce the match. At that time, they also passed the ability for schools to ask for waivers. So I'll use like this upcoming project. Say it's a $49 million project. If we had to come up 29%, that's 14 million. We can't even bond out that high. And never do we have no bond out because it's staggered. So, but then even at the 18%, it's like almost 9 million, which is more. Our bonding capacity, which is 6% of our assessed valuation, is like 5 million. So sometimes it's hard for me before I learned all about this to understand, why don't they just build a new facility? What's the holdup, And something we've heard through the years, we have direct legislative awards. Our district stopped applying for those back, I want to say 2010. We applied, got $100,000 to get us started on the fitness center. Then 4 years ago, or 5 years, I don't know, when we did the big air conditioning project at the elementary, they took that $100,000 off the top. So we had to pay it back. So we stopped asking for money. I mean, the legislative money's great, and our legislators want to provide us money, but it was hurting us, But 2 years ago, too, they passed a Senate bill that there's no more offset. Now we can ask for the money. We've been doing that. That's how we're doing the field house, the track, and we don't have to pay that back. Hopefully that stays in place, because the state does have money to hand out for these projects. But when you have to pay it back, that hurts,
That capital outlay piece, for public school, we will be asking for a waiver after the design phase. And so that way it would cost the district 0%. So we will just have the design phase that we contributed to, and then they hopefully will give us the.
Yeah, they need to count your chickens, but I have no doubt that they will, because I don't believe because all that was talked about before when we went into the design phase. It's like, yeah, we can afford that. There's no way we can bond out enough to pay our match. The cost of construction is so high. So of all the expenditures, I'm going to go now, back to the operational kind of different funds. So in this operational is again our SEG. You can see that's the majority of our expenditures. The red is our capital funding, the SB9, those funds we get along with our debt service. So that come in that we in turn have a check to pay the loans. And then state and federal funds, local are really our only local funds are our activity funds, which is fundraisers for the most part, and our gate receipts. Neither, it's not a lot. It's a small part of our budget, and those are for very specific reasons. We're not going to have a fundraiser and then pay salaries with it. So that's just a picture to show you. This is where I was talking about the bars. Some on the list of bars you see on my list, some say transfer, some say maintenance. A maintenance bar is money we move all within the same function. So for example, in the 1,000 instructional function, maybe we're short on medical insurance, but long on dental. We can switch those, transfer the budget And then those only take board approval. We don't have to send those on to PED. But if we transfer between 1,000 and 2,000, y'all approve that and then we send it on to PED. And it takes their approval. Within that 2,000 function, we have quite a few. We have maintenance, we have transportation, school administration. Those are maintenance bars that we can transfer with only your approval. So that's just kind of helpful on the chart of accounts. Another portion, another of the chart of accounts is the program. You know, anything special ed, state special ed, we use the 2,000 programs. So we have this line, that's the 1/4 element. So we have a bunch of numbers before that, and then we put in that program. Head looks at that, let's say special ed, and they make sure that whatever we're generating, whatever that formula is generating, we are putting it in our budget assigned to special ed. We're not putting it in, you know, school maintenance. So those are just some checks that they have, and that's how they do it. Also almost the last function of the chart of accounts, we have different jobs, you know, because we're able to look and see, okay, we can pull all of 1212 and see the total salary, benefits, insurance, everything that was paid out for librarians. So it's long, that chart of accounts, but there's a reason behind it. So this budget that we're submitting tonight, this is the operational budget. And you can see we have just that pie chart for 74% of salary, but please, I have the little red box around professional services because those could be salaries easily. Recently, you know, we brought to y'all the possibility of hiring our own SLP rather than having a contract. When we contract, we have to code it differently because they're not an employee. But just know that, so that total 80% is what we really should consider salary and benefits. Because if you go back and forth, we did not contract, or maybe this is not going to happen, but say our school nurse retires and we can't find someone to hire, but then we contract with someone, not as an employee, we would pay them differently. So you'll see those kind of, they can go back and forth. But this just shows you that salary and benefits is the big expense. I pulled out our property and liability all by itself because it's almost 5% of our dang budget. And it's incredible. That includes all our vehicles, and all the schools. Yeah, it's pretty. I've kind of grouped softwares, textbooks, supplies, utilities are there. Even though we pay out a lot for utilities, it's not a huge percentage. And we do pay some facilities and maintenance. And I can't think of a good, okay, like tires and tubes for the maintenance pickup, you know, tires. We pay that out of operational because it's more of a consumable. So there are maintenance expenditures in here, but please know that our facilities and maintenance expenditures are a lot more than that because it's almost capital funds. Travel and training, this is staff travel and training that's really tiny in the big picture of things. And then student travel, just our district, we kind of, you know, some time ago, it's like the district, not necessarily football fundraising. The district pays for travel for all of our approved activities up through the state level. So any kind of competitive travel, you know, that's FFA, football, golf, everything. But it also includes student council, even though I believe they go to 2 conferences a year, they're not competitive, but when this was put into place, that was included. But for the most part, it is our competitive programs. Yeah, I'll use FFA as a really good example because they go to a lot of competitions. But then they also go to chapter officer leader training that's not a competition. So their fundraiser account pays for that. And I think our sponsors and coaches and teachers have a pretty good idea. You know, when coaches are putting in POs for travel, they really do know, you know, what the district pays for and what's their responsibility. But our student travel, again, even though when we're, you know, not only is doing those bills, it's a lot of money. But overall, in the budget, it really goes up.
We're, not everyone does that for kids either, so I think that's an important piece for us to continue is that, we do pay for that, so that way kids aren't having to fundraise all the time, at least for the bus and for, cause our neighboring district, for sure, big district doesn't do that, so every person for themselves, you have to fundraise to pay for the bus, for the meals, for the hotels. So something great we're still doing for kids.
Which is another reason, I mean, you know, our district, we have some internal procedures in place. I can't just go out there and start a soccer program and expect the district to pay for it. You know, that's why we talk about things throughout the year and then bring it together a budget time to see if we can do that. And just I can tell you, I remember vividly how this came about. I mean, my first year in this position, a band student came to me and said, basically, she said, they're going to football games, football's getting their meal paid for, bands to take their own money. You know, and I don't think we here even realized that was happening. But football, have more kids, you can raise more money, and it's football, you know, people, you know, so that's the reason behind it. And I think like Molly says, it's a very good thing that other districts don't.
They don't.
So it's something.
That's important.
And it's such a small amount overall, and it's really important to change that, you know, that because we have kids who they couldn't, you know, pay for their own meal. Part of the budget submittal includes our salary schedules. Y'all approved these at the last meeting, but that's just a list of, and I had to submit all of those with our budget when we submit this. So this is just a summary about some changes. Of course, our membership has decreased. Our salaries, the state, there was a 1% average salary. That means, you know, we could have given only cafeteria staff, given them a larger increase, and teachers nothing. And we in the state would have said, oh yeah, that's okay because your overall average is 1%. Our practice through the years is, even though they give us an average, we try to do across the board. It's easier to calculate and it's fair. You know, it's what we need to do. Insurance and benefits are always a huge cost. Our medical went up, you know, 10%, dental went up, and then that property and liability went up 16%. Last year it went up 16%. And it's just like our own personal insurance because of all the claims.
That also takes into effect the 80-20 split that we now have for all employees.
Yes, we're now paying 80% of all medical, dental, vision insurance premiums. But really the biggest change in SCG was that EL funding, staffing. You heard about that, and then other factors that can affect our budget. You know, we contract our related services. We know that's going to increase because they have the same insurance and 1% mandates. You know, and normally, you know, we haven't got those estimates yet. We just kind of do our own estimates and then when it comes in, reconcile to that. Of course, utility, just like at home, those increase, something we always have to consider. So if there's a state mandate about the insurance and the salary, our federal funds that pay for some of our staff, including cafeteria, Title I, federal, SPED, those budgets may not grow enough to handle those mandates. So we just always have to be aware, knowing that there's a chance that the operational is going to have to pick up more. So far, you know, our federal budget's been okay. Cafeteria, not so much. We always supplement it. But the others, we've been okay, but we do have to keep that in mind. And then because, you know, 27,000, I think, is maybe our cost a year for an insured medical premium. If someone, we have staff who maybe they're on the insurance, but their kids are on Medicaid. If something happens, they lose that coverage, they can come, they have a change and they can pick up insurance here. And so we just keep that in mind too, knowing that that could happen. Because, you know, that's $30,000 a pop if we did a whole lot. So those are our main changes. Anything else there?
No, I talked about the staffing changes with the, I felt like that other form kind of gave better information than just a list of staffing, and so.
So this is just kind of my process after this, you know, all the things I have to put in. Zero-based budget just means in our budget, whatever the revenue is, must be the same as the expenditures. In your board folder, are the reports from Head System, and you're gonna see, I think there's two things. There's a 43 cents difference, but our budget analyst would just leave it alone, and that's because when we did the permanent cash transfer, we had it down, you know, the penny, but in Head System, it rounded. So there's a 43 cents difference. Katrina told me, don't worry about it. And then something really strange.
I'm only laughing because of the fact that we don't want to deal with pennies and they make us deal with pennies, and then some different people say, no, we're not gonna deal with the penny, and they'll round it anyways.
Our federal funds, we're budgeting with pennies now. It's and then in there, I didn't look before I ran those reports to see if she had taken it out. There's a fund 31,600. We get SB9. Tisha gets it. It's some kind of HB something fund. And some of our numbers come pre-populated. There's a $3 and something in there. We've never received that fund. We don't have any kind of balance in cash in there. I don't know why it's there. And so I got the same thing, like, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. So my whole zero-based is not true at this moment until they fix that. But otherwise, you're going to see the revenue and the expenditures are the same amount. The calendar is part of our budget. Superintendent signs verification, say that we're meeting the School Personnel Acts, the minimum salaries. And then I'll have a form tonight that I'll give y'all the 901B10 for y'all sign. A lot of questions. I know I zoomed through, but I am always happy to answer questions, and especially like if it doesn't hit you now, you just call and ask. Because
There was, last year you had to kind of break it down and simplify it for me, you did a PowerPoint presentation or something. You need to pull it up, find it, and then send it to Miss Batista, so she can pick it up.
I really don't remember.
No, it's in there. I just gotta dig it up somewhere. It's in my file, but it was pretty neat.
Yeah, I'm sure I have it saved somewhere, but definitely, if you find it, I would probably locate it and then maybe turn it over to you.
I think I sent it to you or showed it to you or something, but anyway, yeah, it was kind of simplifying all that stuff. And sometimes some of the, just the way everything, getting a visual helps. Sure.
Yeah, I think so. I was telling her today that in the old days, when we did budget, we sat in here, we had the whole budget printed out, and we said, you know, in this year in unemployment, we paid $37. Next year, we're gonna pay $42. We went through every single line. Those lines are in there for you in your folder. It's a bunch of PDFs. You are, please call and ask. Like if you have a question about, well, what is this object code or what is this money for? Please ask. But I certainly don't want to push you all through that torture. It was torturous.
Yeah, I think that it's important that you have access, because then as we look through, you know, each month you receive the statement that says like, we've encumbered this much out of here, you know, where that budget matched and the reason why. So Jeannie runs last year where our expenses were, and then maybe they're, you know, plumbing burst and we had a bigger expense than normal, and so we need to go back a little. But maybe it's just the fact that everything now costs more, and so then she budgets based like you would at home. If you know gas is higher, you're going to need to budget more
based on that.
Mhm.
But now, anytime, ask questions and I will go to the.
Nice.
Thank you.
First of all, we've been looking up and down.
6C.
We're on C, right? Okay. Okay, so
7C.
perfect. 7C, do we have a motion on the table for the approval of fiscal year 27 operating budget?
I move we approve the fiscal year 27 operating budget.
Do we have a motion on the table? Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Item 7D, approval of revised fiscal year 27 salary schedule.
So, we brought these on, April 20th to you guys. And then as I reviewed them, in the last month, I realized we made an error on the elementary principal, starting pay. So last year, starting pay for elementary principal was 98,000. And the reason that we did that was based upon the number, that a teacher makes per day and what a principal makes per day. So that way there is a difference. Well, as we created those this year, we put all the minimums that we had to pay them in, and then we went back and adjusted. Well, we didn't get it adjusted. And so with that, I'm recommending, based upon the teacher salary, that we would move, elementary principal starting at 104,790, for the next school year. And the reason for that is so that way that principal is making more per day than a teacher. Because right now at what we have it at, it would be the same as somebody who has 12 years of teaching experience. So we need to definitely make that a place, that we're paying for what we're getting in that area. So just an error that we need to correct.
I move that we approve the revised fiscal year 27 salary schedule.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, aye. Motion passes. Okay, item 7E.
G.
G.
Oh, yeah, we did. We already passed E and F. So, so G, approval of fiscal year 27 Honeywell contract.
I can answer any questions you have on any of that, if you have any.
I recommend approval. It is 9,000 more than our previous
Yes.
year's contract. And with that just comes equipment. So compressor goes out on a air conditioner unit, they come fix it. Something that they did for us this year that they don't always do is as we redid the cafeteria flooring, they came and unplugged all of the gas lines and everything else because they're trained in those ovens and whatnot. So that's also, when we do have the off things too, because that's covered in our contract with them to deal with. Chris informed me tonight that they even sharpen our slicers and maintenance, some of that stuff. So definitely a contract that
Is utilized.
It's well worth it.
They also monitor the temperatures in our walk-in refrigerators and freezers. And should something happen, they come out day or night.
Oh, wow,
Oh,
nice.
nice.
Lovely.
So they are very important.
Good to know. Then I move we approve the fiscal year 27 Honeywell contract.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Okay. Oh. Item 8, personnel, new hires, Dixie Van, at the principal.
she is elementary principal, and we'll have her, hopefully at the July meeting to meet everyone. So
Awesome. Good job. Welcome. Also Gina Hartwick, the math teacher at the high school, I guess.
excited.
Cool, cool. Okay, item B, resignations. Trevor Sanders, track head coach, at the high school. So, thank you for your years of service. Item 9, future agenda items. We have nothing there.
Just a question on, is there anything for our meeting before, my brain just went blank on what we even call them, our workshop, in which you would want to learn or more information on. Jeannie and I kind of started a list of different topics, but if there's something specific, again, Our plan is in July to provide workshop topics to you for the entire year, so that way you kind of know what's coming up and thought wise. So if you have something, please let me know.
Item 10, correspondence, future meetings and events. So
I do have a correspondence from the Historical Society. They wrote, Ms. Pearson School Board, our mission is to educate Dexter students, has indeed enriched our own lives. We are so grateful for your partnership in their endeavors. We look forward to continuing working with you in the future of your organization and the measures. We can't thank you enough for all you have done for us. So, and it's signed by them. So
cool. Thank you. Also on correspondence, I believe we got a couple of letters.
I have
Anonymous, yes, anonymous letters. So we have,
Annabelle gave it to
Oh, okay, good.
okay.
Okay.
Yes, so we passed along to personnel matters, so trying to follow chain of command, and we have pushed it over to our superintendent, Molly Pierce. So thank you very much for that. Item 10B, future meetings and events. July 13th, 2026, regular board meeting.
We need to add July 6th,
Yes.
6 a.m.
Yep.
July 6th,
special board meeting.
6 a.m.
Oh, yeah, forgot she's in there.
She's gonna be on Zoom. She's not gonna be here in person. She'll be okay.
Yeah.
Comb your hair and wear a nice shirt.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so item 11, adjournment. We have a motion for adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Thank you guys all for being here.
Yes, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Mainly, there's a marker on the floor underneath the chair.